Singing my life with his word, killing me softly with his song, killing me softly with his song, telling my whole life with his words, killing me softly with his song.
Yo, this is why Clef Refuge Roswell, little bass sitting up here on the bass. While I'm on this roast, I got my girl L. One time. Hey yo, L, you know you got the lyrics.
I heard he sang a good song. I heard he had a style. And so I came to see him and listen for a while. And there he was, this young boy, stranger to my eyes, strumming my pain with his fingers, singing my life with his words. Killing me softly with this song. Killing me softly with this song. Telling my whole life with his words. Killing me softly with his song.
Also to the pot.
Oh
yeah, you know what you got doing, and I think it might be like testing 1 2. Testing 1 2. Testing. Yo, testing. I don't know if we coming to the mic though. Okay, we are testing. Let's say test 1 1 2 1 2.
There's no other audio.
There's no other audio.
I turned on all the audio.
Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2. Let me go on another. It's not stopping right now. You know what I'm saying? It's not like I say. Is it stopping? You know what I'm saying? It's not like I say.
That's you.
Yo, can you hear me? Oh, you know what? You got going on. Right, because the speakers out here. Testing. Brother Tyran, can you hear me? Brother Tyran, can you hear me? Testing, Brother Tyran, can you hear me? You can hear me?
Yeah, that's you.
Is that right? All right, so I'm thinking, it sounds like it's not stopping this time though. Like on the film last time, it was automatic setting. I think like it was like if somebody get excited. But I'm not sure if I'm gonna be excited anyhow today. It's just a talk. Last time
That's what I'm saying, because that mic is only
Test.
going to be controlled from the
1, 2.
input, from those things. So if they all running through the main lab receiver, then you might have to just turn the lab receiver down.
Oh, I see. You mean
Because it ain't over here. This over here is everything coming out of it. All the
you
control.
mean for the input in there?
Yeah, so whatever the mics is, like if they get too hot, like if they pop, if you go too loud, then the lab control has to go down. It should be a value.
Because that's going straight in his thing.
No, it's because it's going in there, and it's coming. Everything is coming.
Yeah, but it's going to that thing.
Yeah,
So you,
I can't control it.
No, because the mix of the stream.
Oh. Let me go back.
See right here.
Don't let them fool you.
But then there's like
The only thing when you hit noise reduce background, it
Or even
changes
try
up
to
the sound.
school you.
yeah, but then, you see automatically that's mic and transformation.
Oh no.
It's like when you edit, you know how when you edit, you take noise control out
You
the
got
background
the
and make it sound tense.
So go to hell. You got to
What about the echo cancellation?
That might work. That would sound great.
The echo cancellation.
would never leave us alone. I in the darkness, you must come out the light.
Try to do like that. See that?
Could you be loved
Oh, that's what might
and be loved?
Because it had it on there.
Could you be loved?
Something might have been coming out of the like
Yeah, because only thing, once everything goes into the receiver, that's the only way I can control. I'm controlling everything, my music and everything. But I can also control my music.
because that's not coming there and going in there.
The only other option would be, there's no back time for that, you can turn it off with the last and the head, and then I can control it.
Yeah, but you could, but you wouldn't know unless you just did it live.
Don't let them change you.
Testing, 1, 2, testing, 1, 2. Testing. You know what? This is loaded there too. I realized that, so it might not be arcing right now. Testing, 1, 2, testing, 1, 2. Testing. Oh, that's good. Testing. Testing. 1, 2, 1, 2. Oh, that might be the problem. Got turned up louder for people, you know what I mean? So then it's probably when it's up turned up louder over here. What do you call it? Clipping. Okay. Let's see what's going on. Testing, 1, 2. Testing. I turned the automatic thing off because it might not have it. Let's see if I have it. Testing, 1, 2. Testing. 1, 2. Testing. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Pardon y'all. 1, 2. Y'all get the show before the show. It ain't clipping. All right. Let me do something real quick before you go. I'm gonna put it on auto. Testing, 1, 2. Testing, 1, 2. Testing, 1, 2. Testing, 1, 2. Testing. It might have been something else.
It might have been just coming out too much from there.
It still ain't coming out.
Yeah. So you might
Yo.
leave it there because it sounds good. Like, and I can always control the music.
I can play without the music too.
You said it again? You got the wrong
I'll be honest, over there, probably better. Probably to the left.
It's funny how money changes situations.
Yeah, I might have switched the lens again though. Anyway, so yeah, I'm gonna have to switch that lens. All right, so let me. I think this might be best. I know he's probably like, what are you? Yeah.
So you can be both.
Yeah. Let me. Yeah.
No glare either.
Oh, good. Yeah, sun beam.
That's a glare because I'm looking from this angle, but from there, it's good.
Yeah.
It's a glare from one of those overhead lights, but not on the side.
I'm trying to.
Lost one. You just lost one. You just lost one. You just lost one. You just lost one.
tripod is sweet.
Got some gas tape. What is the head weak or the leg? I like the head.
The head, because this lens is heavy. This tripod is not. I can switch tripods, but it's fine. Not make a problem.
That's the one you got screwed to tighten, right?
The handle, yeah. It's tight as it's gonna get too. I just want to make sure it don't rock regardless, like on its own. How was that?
Lift it a little more and then let it fall. Yeah. So you let it go. Let me see.
Hold up. I see the Lord. I know what you mean. Wait, hold on. Let me try to move up a little bit so I can box it in.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about that because it's like.
Oh, okay.
Because other than that, you this is bad.
Yeah, this is tight as. Yeah, this is tight as it's gonna get.
Yeah, it's what it is the clip that's holding the camera, the quick release. It's not that tight. You understand what I'm saying? It's moving inside of the quick release.
Yeah, see that?
Yeah, that's what it is. Let me see, so it's not as tight. I think it's not gripping it as tight.
It might be the angle.
Yeah, because the camera, that's probably not for that weight of that camera.
No. Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, it's rocking it in the
as long as I get it stable with it.
As long as it ain't gonna pop out of it.
Oh, no, it shouldn't. No, I ain't. Now just one last thing here. How's that? Yeah.
It's a little.
I know what you mean.
Just a little.
Yeah, it's the head of it.
Yeah, I think it's just the head. But if you get it in there, I don't think it'll work. I think it's look all right right there.
Yeah. I'm sorry, man. Well, let me see. That way you can't even tell. How's that? Is that better?
So, so I've been doing
All right, man. Let me good. Let me record on it too.
Yeah, because they have this expensive, like, even with kids, you can't stay. Tell me who I have to get keep letting you back in. How can I explain myself?
Brother Curtis.
No.
I wanna love you and treat you right. I wanna love you every day and every night. We'll be together with the roof right over our head. We'll share each other. I wanna love and treat you right.
With the roof right over our heads, we share of my single bed. We share the same room. Without no tolerance. Is this love? Is this love? Is this love? Is this love that I'm feeling? Is this love? Is this love? Is this love? Is this love that I'm feeling? Oh yes, I know, yes, I know, yes, I know now. Oh yes, I know, yes, I know, yes, I know now. I'm willing and able. So I throw my cards on the table. See, I wanna love you, I wanna love and treat you right. I wanna love you every day and every night. We be together with the roof right over our heads. We share the shelter of my single bed. We share the same room.
Is she?
That's new time, sir. How you doing? All right, gentlemen, how you doing? All right. Good afternoon, side. How you doing, young man?
Let me be patient, let me be kind, making myself big without being blind. Though I may suffer, how it is mine, and then know what comes, 'cause he's all that I gotta tell him. Tell him I'm bleeding, tell him I love him. Be all fine. Tell him I need him. Tell him I love him. Be all fine. Now I may have faith, make mountains fall, but if I lack love, then I am nothing at all. I give away everything I possess, and without love, then I am yours. No one to praise, you're not without sin. Love is not boastful. Ooh, and love is not loud. Down my dear. Now I if I speak more, who's one? See what we now know is love that compares. Love that was shown when I was
That's yours.
How much? So what we do, we'll you up. But her libation should be doing What you want to do? You want to sit down? What you want to do? You want to do the mic? Mic check. Peace and power, dear family. Peace and power. I just want to take the time and just welcome each and every one of you to our Angea Fellowship, which we have every Sunday. And for those that are listening via YouTube, greeting and peace and power to you all. It is a beautiful, sunny day here in Baltimore. Not as frigid as days past. I see we have some special guests. Some traveling from far and some traveling from near. And it's good to have and see your smiling faces here today. So we're going to start with a libation. And that's just a way of allowing the ancestors to come and be present with us on this undertaking. And I'm going to have our own elder, Mama and Donu, come with her guests to open up the way that the ancestors will be present for this undertaking. And it seems like she is the elder. I just say humbly, elder, do we have permission to proceed?
Let's go.
Come on, y'all. Bring up Mama and Donu to come. Give it up, y'all.
Peace and blessings, power, love, harmony, peace, all of that good stuff. Because we need it all, especially in these days. And I'm so happy, so thrilled to have my sister, Chief Latava, here visiting from Indianapolis. I'm sure all of you hear me talk about it all the time, so she... and she has exhibited love throughout the world. She lived for a while in Belize when a few years ago everything was looking like it was rough, and now so far she's still here. So we'll let you know if she's gonna stay here or not. But sister, would you honor us with pouring libations to our most honorable ancestors?
Most certainly. Greetings. Thank you, Mama and Donu. I'm going to still tell you all have Mama and Donu on loan from back there. We want her back. Anytime we want her back. But greetings, peace, and love. If we can still our spirits, this is a time where we will usher in the spirit of our ancestors and align our hearts and our spirits in this moment. I'm happy to honor requests to pour libations. It is a time out of tradition that we should always do when we seek to do the work of the way, if you will, when we seek to honor the spirit that has brought each of us here. So we're going to start by pouring libations. And for those who are unfamiliar, I heard you say you're recording on YouTube. If you're unfamiliar with the process of pouring libations, it is our way of acknowledging the spirit of those who have come before us, the spirit from which we come, and bringing and inviting that spirit into this space. Ashe. We're going to pour libations starting with Great Mother, the creative forces of the universe. We pour these libations and we start there with Ashe. We're asking each of us to still our spirits and in this gratitude space, this gratitude energy, be mindful of those who are directly responsible for all of us coming here into this space as we claim it for divine purpose. We ask those ancestors who not only unknowingly, but knowingly intended a way forward for both our spiritual and physical DNA. We acknowledge, honor, and invite you into the space with us, Ashe. We seek the presence of those ancestors who came before us. Those ancestors who did everything necessary to align our coded DNA to bring us into this physical space, those known and unknown. We miss them, Ashe. And then the oldest ancestors that we are aware of in each of our bloodlines, our lineage, our DNA. We speak their names aloud. Think along your line of in your family, who has gone before you. Speak their names in this moment. We're going to call their names. Ashe. We now will take a moment and call the spirit of those who are well known, those ancestors we share, not only with ourselves, those we share with the world who brought brilliance into this space, who were advocates of who we are today, in a manner of thankfulness and thanking them for having ever gone and ever come this way so that we may be present. We speak their names, call their names aloud. Ashe. And we pour libations for those yet to come as we focus our energy that our steps are intentional, that what we have come and brought through this realm, that we do so that there may be a place and a space of liberation for those who will come behind us, not just those we have directly reared, but those who will come from those that we rear. We want our yet unborn to know. We pour libations for you because we are intentional and we call to you now to bring you forward into this space, not as we are, but liberated. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe-o.
Thank you, dear sister. About 15 years ago, I had the honor of interviewing the chief on a radio program. And at the time, I was a part of something called the Black Survival Network under Baba Hannibal Afrique, that is one of our ancestors that have ran ahead of us to become amongst the ancestral realm. And the nature of the conversation was about survival. And the sister was out there in the Midwest. What state were you in, sister? Indiana. In Indiana. And she had an intentional community, and she was soliciting for brothers to come out and help her build. She said, I got a lot of strong sisters, but I can't get the brothers to get rid of their creature comforts and get off the TV and playing the video games. And I got sisters hauling wood and building structures, and at the time I was learning how to build straw bale houses and learning how to live off the grid. And I was like, man, I'm about to pack up and move to Indiana. And then I realized, I started saying, brothers, are you ready? And I realized brothers wasn't ready to give up their creature comforts. And brothers wasn't really ready to build. And as we see in this day and time, when we talk about Trump and the government and the divesting in Black America and the removing of all those civil servants that look like us in PG County and in Baltimore and in this region has been living high on the hog. they're losing their jobs. And now this conversation is coming up. And although I haven't been teaching survival, now I'm getting calls and say, remember that stuff you was talking about 15 years ago? I think we're ready to give ear to some of that. We need a contingency plan. So all of y'all was talking about Chief saying, oh, she's an extremist 15 and 20 years ago. And now we realize some of those skills, talents, and abilities that we sort of put on the shelf, that we have to start incorporating them back into our realities and start redefining what family looks like. Y'all gotta excuse me, I'm running a little late. We talk about family. I got a call from my play cousin. How many of y'all got play cousins? Right? They ain't really family, but they grew up with you. You know, they jumped off the porch with you. And I got a play cousin, and his mother is the same age as my mother. We're like the same age, right? My mother's name is Darlene. She's an ancestor. His mother's name is Darlene. And I haven't talked to her in about 10 years. And I get a FaceTime from her. And I'm like, wow, this is unusual. And I'm trying to make it here, and I get a FaceTime. I'm like, do I answer this FaceTime? Because it's unusual for her to call. So I understand that this is unusual circumstances, so I have to pick up the phone now. Maybe emergency. And they're back home in Pittsburgh, where I'm from. And she said, my son just wants to talk to you. And the brother's in the hospice. I'm only 52. And he's in the hospice. He can hardly talk. But he remembered the wise words that I used to speak to him. And he's almost on his deathbed. He just said, I just need to hear a word from Brother Curtis. And I had to hold space for him. And although I could hardly translate what he was saying, I knew that there's something, because he's a DJ, I could say to him to make him smile. I know he's a record producer, so I started saying, you're still our champion, brother. You got some fight in you. Just hold on just a little bit longer. There's still some things that you can do. Because just like history heals our artisans, our poets, our musicians, there's so much a part of our struggle because they convey in a few seconds what we try to convey in words that will take us hours and hours. And sometimes you can look at a print. Sometimes you can hear a song. Sometimes you can hear a poem and it will inspire you. For me, it was that Public Enemy. And I didn't know nothing about Muslims or anything. When I know Public Enemy said, I'm a follower of Farrakhan. Don't say you understand until you hear the man. And I was like, who is Farrakhan? And why don't I know who he is? And it's just a word of inspiration that can come through the music, through the poems, that can inspire us to stand up a little stronger, that can inspire us to get into the movement if we're not in the movement. It can inspire us to be more loving and sisterly and brotherly. Just a word. So I was happy that I took the call. And it just tells me to tell you that we have to keep keeping on. We have to redefine what community looks like and what family looks like. And even those old bonds that those old beefs and conflict that you've been having with cousin and sister and brother, you know, tomorrow's really not promised to us. And I just urge you, if there's a way of reconciliation, if there's some almsgiving, if there's an outpour, if there's a connection that we can make to reestablish family and community, we need to do it now. We need to do it now. I think there's a fierce urgency in our community to start talking about what community looks like and start building. Start having think tanks at least. This is the table used to say, start saving some heirloom seeds. When you're eating that watermelon, I think you should start taking the seeds. I used to just put them in a paper towel, just put them in a bag and tuck them away. Because we take for granted. I just called the tractor factory. I'm about to get 8 chickens. They said eggs is a premium. How many people know that you can have chickens, 8 chickens in Baltimore City? Huh? And people gonna think I'm crazy, I'm having chickens. But I didn't know until a farmer told me that a chicken lays eggs every day. You from Jamaica, is that right? How many people knew that a chicken lays eggs every day? And they stealing eggs. And in our city, we can have up to 8. Now, it takes some cultivation, it takes some knowledge, but we got to go back to the land. Because if not us, then who? And if not now, then when? And I just want to pause on that note. And I'm going to bring Mama and Donna, and if Elder, you can come and just lead us in a poem. You got something prepared for us? They say if you ain't ready, you should get ready. She got a whole papers of poems, just pull them out. We got time for one poem? Okay, we got time for one poem, right?
You don't get the message. Yes, sir.
They say, be ye always ready. So we're going to do a poem because, you know, we always got to have space for our elders to just come and share some wisdom, right? Because we don't know if when they go steal away and all that knowledge that they have and all the contribution that they have will one day steal away. And we just remember that we got an honored soldier and comrade standing next to me because she's not heavy. She's my sister. That's right. And Latava ain't stealing her from us, Baltimore. Baltimore, stand up.
Okay. I know a lot of people say that we talk too much about slavery, and many people have gotten to the point that they think that's where our history began, was with slavery. But all us, we here, we know better than that. But at the same time, we need to be reminded, because things are looking real dread these days. So another sister friend of mine, Sister Yakini Imani, wrote this poem called The Ride. So if y'all bear with me, I want to share her poem with you. Me, peeping round mama's skirt. Who those men? Skin all funny looking. They white? Me, tugging on mama's skirt. Mama, what they want? Where they come from? What you say? We going somewhere, but not walking? Look, there's a boat. We getting on that boat. I don't want to get on that boat with this funny looking man, though. White man. Mama, too many of us on here. I'm hungry. I want some water. Where are we going? Where are we going? Huh, Mama? Where are we going? I don't like sleep standing up. I want to go back home. Too much water out here. Mom, I'm hungry. My stomach hurts. Those people over there, they still sleep. Why don't they wake up? They've been laying there a long time. Mama, when we getting off this boat, I'm tired. Uh-oh. Gotta let go again. I don't like letting go right here. It makes it stink. Why we all gotta just let go right here anyway? Mama, look. I think we're gonna get off. I'm tired, Mama. Glad we're getting off this boat. Where are we going? Huh, Mama, where are we going? Woo. Tell them stop hollering so loud. We ain't do nothing wrong. Why they hitting them? I don't want them funny colored men hitting on me. Don't let them hit me, Mama. Mama, that white man coming over here. What's he got in his hand? Don't let him hit me. Mama,
Why he pulling you? Let go my mama. You hear? Let go. He pulling you too fast. I'm trying to hold on, mama, but he pulling you too fast. I'm trying. Your skirt's tearing, mama. Your skirt's tearing. He pulling you too fast. Let go of me. Gotta go with my mama. Tell him let go, mama. Tell him let go. I'm trying to hold on. I got your leg, but you moving too fast. Let go, my mama. Let go of me. This ground's hurting my belly. Dirt getting all in my mouth. Oh, mama, I'm being dragged too fast. I hurt. Can't hold no more. My hands bleeding. Oh, mama, don't go. Don't leave me. Give me back my mama. You hear? Mama, tell him give me back. Let her go, y'all. I'm scared. Oh, mama, I'm scared. Don't go away. Mama, please come back. Please come back. Mama.
Ashe, Ashe, and Ashe. I don't think we want to clap on that. I just think we want to hold space for that. Just hold space in our heart for that. We understand that TNAT is a healing space, that we understand that TNAT is a house of healing. And just as we hold that, we release that, because that's too heavy for any of us to carry. And Mama Michelle, if you can come and help us synthesize that which we just felt, and help us through some sound bowls and some meditation, kind of release that somatic stuff, that stuff that's stored in our body from the great Mayafa and the great tear that has taken place with African people. And we're just going to synthesize some of that blockage and some of the stuff that we've been holding. And we're just going to give space to release that. And one of the ways we release that trauma is through song, is through sounds. I can remember Big Mom and Grandma, sometimes they used to just hum and rock and give us a gospel, give us a spiritual. Sometimes they would just hum and rock and hum and rock. And as she prepares the sound bowls, I just want y'all to center yourself. And as we think about it, come on. Let's go.
In my soul, yonder comes sun. Sun is a rising. Sun is a rising in my soul. Yonder come day, everybody. Yonder come day. Day is done broke. Yonder come day in my soul. Yonder comes sun. Sun is a rising. Sun is a rising in my soul. Yonder come day. Day is done broke. Yonder come day in my soul. Yonder comes sun. Sun is a rising. Sun is a rising
in my soul.
Ashe.
And our survival instinct. Let's take a breath into our sacral chakra, where our creativity, our sexuality, and our emotional balance lies. Exhale that breath out. Let's breathe into our solar plexus, where we hold our personal power, our confidence, and our self-esteem. Let's breathe into our heart chakra. Deep breath in, where there's a lots of love, compassion, and emotional healing. Exhale that breath out. The throat chakra, communication, self-expression, and your truth. Breathe in, open your mouth, exhale it out. Your third eye, your intuition, your spiritual awareness, and your inner wisdom. Breathe into the crown chakra, your spiritual connections, and your consciousness. Take a deep breath in and a big sigh out. As you exhale, release anything that does not serve you in this present moment.
Come on, y'all could do better than that. Give it up for our mama, Michelle Blue. Something about those healing. And we're going to continue on with our healing process, and we're going to bring in Wallamu Minister Kevin Patrick, and he's going to come and talk a little bit about release and healing. Give it up for Brother Kevin.
When I'm walking now, I realize I'm getting older. God Almighty. Whew. I don't walk as brisk as I used to, you know. How about that? I appreciate that. How thoughtful of you. Yes. I want to talk about the 5 ways of how to forgive yourself. And yes. I don't know. You can have me on that one. I don't know what to say. Yes. But we see the topic of discussion is freeing ourselves by forgiving our parents, healing through history. Yes. And as we see the word freeing, we see that the ing is on a continuing basis. Yes. I heard the sister talk about gratitude. And one thing I realized about gratitude, the first thing you have to have is patience. Yes, that's a requirement. If you don't have patience, you become impatient. And sometimes we got to have patience. If not, we're going to continue to be somebody else's patient. So you got to have patience. Yes. Yes. Then I heard the word intentional. Yes. Intentions is judged by your actions. And then I heard the word love. For me, love is the manner and way in which we communicate as a family, our humanity. You heard that from me? Yes. Love is the manner and the way in which we communicate as a family, our humanity. How to forgive yourself. Anytime you see the word how, for me, that is it's a process. It's a process. Yes. In the first process that we need to take to forgive ourselves, number 1 is to release negativity. Yes. Because the prefix of the word negative is negate, and the prefix of the word pause is to have access to. Negate is the block. You know, in Jamaican language, they call blood clot, you know. But yes. Yes. Release the negativity. And how do you do that? You have to be honest. How can you serve if you're not honest? Be honest about what? What happened? See, we can accept the feeling, but we're in control of the actions. Will not only help you release negativity, but also give you what? Closure. Don't we want closure? It's like a weight that gets taken off of your shoulders. You got to be tired of carrying the weight of negativity. And the negativity in which the way in which we feel about others, because that which affects one directly affects the other indirectly. Number 2, accept the unacceptable. When you come to terms with the fact that you cannot change the past, because the reference point is not a place of residence. You don't live there.
Let's go.
It will set you free, but also help you become the best version of yourself, the best version of yourself, a better version of yourself, not a better, bitter version of yourself. Number 3, learn your lesson. Follow the pattern in there. Because if you don't do the first 2, you're not going to get to number 3. Follow the pattern. Number 3, learn the lesson. Hey, when you learn the lesson, that's when you get the blessing. If you don't take your time to learn the lesson or try the situation, it's telling you, stop running, confront that. Is it more difficult to confront yourself or live with yourself? The difficulty is confronting yourself. Because if you haven't confronted yourself, you're not living with yourself because you prepare. Oh.
Come on,
to avoid what the situation is telling you, you will experience the same thing over and over and over again. Because you ain't learned a lesson. Number 4, then you're able to what? Move forward. I smiled on that one. Because you can't change what happened, but you can change your attitude in the actions in the present. Ain't that something, man? Ooh, there's some attitude problems going on here. Number 5. And finally, self-compassion. Ain't that something? In order to become more kinder to yourself, you need to commit to talking with yourself in ways that is helpful rather than harmful. So how can you nurture someone else if you have not yet first learned to nurture yourself?
Come on now. And we're going to drop the mic. Give it up for Brother Patrick. Come on. All right, y'all had enough for today. We're going to go home and close at this time. And we'll see y'all next Sunday because that's a mouthful and a lot for y'all to process. And it's going to take me a while to process because I said I was going to set some boundaries in 2025, right? And first, those boundaries start with myself. Starting with yourself. To no further ado, we're going to bring up our chief minister and give it a word. And we're going to go into the healing through history. And we understand that this is a healing place and a house of healing. Come on, Dr. Dennis Ausar Winkler. Bring on our brother. Receive our brother. Come on, black man. Let's go.
Peace and power, family. How's everybody doing? All right. Say it again. Not stepping. You know what? It's been so many moving pieces today. I'm trying to keep my center. You know, hold on. Would you join me, please, and welcome me?
Redeem a full of culture. Get it.
Come on. Let's go.
Oh. I gotta calm my nervous system down. It looks calm, but it's not. You know, blessings. How's everybody doing? I want to, first and foremost, ask my elders for permission to speak. That meant ditto. I meant good. I meant go ahead and make it happen. You know, because I think it's important, you know, that we continue those traditions, those rituals, those ways of being, and not overlook them because they're significant, especially where we find ourselves today in the society we find ourselves in today, and the concerns and issues we have today, especially as we spoke about a few weeks ago about this generational, I'm saying so-called generational gap that is, from my standpoint, very problematic. I heard Baba Nati speak about it even the other day. I just want to say there's elders out here that are fit and ready. There are those of us that are out here that are looking for those to come along to say, how do I carry this forward? I want to give my dear sister a shout out because lots of times we do a lot of work in silence. I'm talking about clinical professionals. I want to give Dr. Shauna Mary Brown a shout out for the work that she's doing in the community. Because lots of times the work that clinicians do, many times, all the time, really, it's not seen. And people ask you, what are you doing? You're doing a lot of work if you're working in the field with our people. Because you have to prepare yourself to go through that emotional roller coaster. And if you don't, you will hurt our. And that's why it's important that we heal ourselves so that we can help heal our community. I'm suggesting, I argue and I maintain that a lot of us are walking around with too much trauma. And let me say it again, unresolved trauma, to really be helping our people. And I say that because, I mean, we're just gonna have a talk today. I say that because I think that many times we say, we all hurt. We all have pain. We all sick. Well, if that's how you choose to frame it, I can go there. But there's levels to this. You know what I mean? There's levels. Are you mildly or you severely? And many times those who are severely hurting are trying to help heal people and hurting them in the process. And not just hurting them, but hurting us. And it sometimes just feels good. It's a form of release. It's a form of trying to cope, but it's a maladaptive way of coping because you end up hurting others. And that right there is not always intentional. And I think that we should be aware that when people hurt us, they're not always intentionally hurting us. And many times they can't even foresee it. I used to work with brothers who domestic violence. And I didn't really learn what domestic violence was until I started working with them. And one thing I realized in working with people who commit domestic violence or intimate partner violence or what have you, is that they've been through certain levels of trauma and violence themselves, or they learned that behavior from somewhere. In fact, I was a little afraid, to be honest with you. They say, you want to work with some people who were intimate partner violence gentlemen? I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, what are they going to be like? What are they going to be like? And then I went in there, they was my brothers. They was my cousin. They were me. You know what I mean? Because lots of times we don't even realize how we're hurting people because it's a part of what is masking itself as culture. It is a part of what is masking itself as culture. And it's a part of what we call our socialization process. Many times when we're trying to help, we actually hurt people. And I didn't, as I often do, because I'm doing 1,001 things, I'm often not really complete with my slides, and this week is no difference. But I promise you that I'll probably polish it up one day, and perhaps it'll be in a book. You know, maybe the second go around, if you stay around long enough, you might see the polished version. So I ask you to walk with me today, and talk to me today. You know, and one of the things I put out recently when I realized in our space it's okay to talk and give commentary and give your opinions, but let's balance that out with some questions sometimes. Because those, again, that are the most hurt always express their opinions. Don't ask questions because it's a reaction. It's understandable, but I'm not saying that to hurt you. I'm saying that to say, just reflect on that a bit. Because sometimes we can't stop talking because we have to react to that which bothers us. So it triggered. I don't like, if you don't like the word pardon. And I also want to say, if on what I get through today, it may be some triggering things in here. If you have to step out, that's fine. If you have to, we got people in here, if you need to talk or chit chat and all that type of thing, we can do that too. And we family. So, we're riding this together. Ashe? Also want to give how do you say it? I want to give respect to Chief Latava. I remember some years ago, Sister Mary, Sister Camille Wiankwe, and so many of them. She came to Baltimore, and I was on a panel that year when she came. I think it was the finale of y'all Rites of Passage. A part of it. Okay, yeah. So me, Dr. Gregory, Brother Sankova, quite a few people were on that stage. I remember she asked me. She said, "Minister, what kind of minister are you?" I was military minister. You know, I was like, I don't know. You know, one of those. You know what I mean? So, nonetheless, the title of today's presentation is "Freeing Ourselves by Forgiving Our Parents." And I want to say that has been in my spirit, in my work, you know, and even when I say work, I'm not even speaking about what's going on in the counseling room upstairs. I'm speaking about the work that we do in this room too, the work that we do in the community, the work when we talk to our brothers and sisters. So again, freeing ourselves by forgiving our parents, healing through history. Mama and Dinu started off the presentation. I don't have to do a lot of work because Mama and Dinu already started off with that piece. And that piece was a historical rendering of our experience, part of our experience, a part of our experience that caused lots of trauma. And it was so impactful because it was greater than what just an articulation or what I'm going to do here today could even put you in. It put us in a state that we were confused whether or not we should clap. We're like, it was good, but it was something else too. And I've seen it get even more go deeper and, you know, into that skit there. So keep it coming, Mama. Then Sister Michelle Blue helped us settle that. She helped open up the channels in our bodies to help us release some of that. Then Baba Kevin, and this was a part of my presentation that I was like, all right, I got to put that in there. But Brother Mwalimu Kevin said, we have to forgive ourselves. And I had a note last night to put that part in my presentation. And then I was over there, I just took the slide off and I said, I can't finish that today. But you came through what they say, the ancestors, right? So I appreciate that. So he said he was going to set the way, and you did it in a phenomenal way. So freeing ourselves by forgiving our parents, healing through history is important. Our ancestors said something like this. Now don't become shocked by the words, just try to understand it. There's something I read in Muada Ashby's work that says, try to understand the person's heart, not get caught up by the words. It's much more eloquent than I promise. It's much more eloquent than that, I promise. Try to understand the heart because words are confusion. Try to understand the heart because words are confusion. Because we can fight about words. We can fight about words, but we won't do so much fighting if we truly tap into the other's heart. What do they mean by that? What was their intent? Sometimes we're so analytical, we won't allow a person to even make a mistake. And I say, walk with me, because I make mistakes. But again, it says here, if you are angered by a wrong done by another, lean not toward remembering it, but toward righteousness. In the book of Patah Hotep, section 16. So why did I preface it that way? I preface it because it says, do not it says lean not to remembering it. And I know lots of times we say, oh, never forget, you know what I'm trying to say. But I think when it says lean not to remembering it, it's saying something more like what Brother Curtis spoke to earlier when he said these things are in our bodies. So what do we have to do to get this certain level of tension, this certain level of trauma, this certain level of hurt and pain out of our bodies? How do we allow our bodies to release it? How do we allow our bodies to release it? It says forgiveness aligns with ancient African principles of emotional balance, self-restraint, and spiritual alignment. What do y'all say? Let's talk. Oh, let me get this, Mom.
Hey, everybody. I think about when I listen to friends and colleagues, whatever the story is that traumatized them becomes their story. And so as we continue to make bigger that particular traumatic story, that becomes the reality. And Baba just said that we can't change what happens in the past, but we can change our attitude toward that.
Mm-hmm.
We have to be very conscious or conscientious about not making the trauma our story. And I think so many times that has happened, one, because it gets us attention,
Mm-hmm.
two, because it gives us a place where people can listen
Mm-hmm.
to us, and three, it feels good to be the victim for some people. So it goes back to what Baba said about first being honest.
Mm-hmm.
That is not your story. That is what happened to you. But it doesn't have to lend itself to create who you are supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm complete.
Masha.
Yes, in harmony with the sister, it's a lot of stuck trauma that we have in our body. And like Michelle did the bowl, that was the releasing a lot of trauma. We got a lot of energy in us. And by me experiencing, because I'm a life coach, it's not just for them, but it's for me too. It's reciprocated.
Mm-hmm.
And I listen to them and I look out in the audience and I say, oh my gosh, there's so much hurt, there's so much pain. And the way they react to us, because that's the only way they know how to act because of the pain. And we have to get in our heart, in my heart, to not to judge them because of the pain that they're going to, because they don't know where to put it at.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know where to put the pain. So they go to drugs, they go to this, they go to this.
Mm-hmm.
But when we come in, how we heal in ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
we can heal them with compassion and empathy and understanding. So again, a lot of that trauma is stuck. So we got to unstuck it from ourselves to help other people to unstuck it. And I believe that life experience
Mm-hmm.
is the best teacher for me, because it's not, I don't have to go into their curriculum, if that makes sense, because they have a curriculum that they want us to go by, you know, and some people don't understand that curriculum, so to speak. You go to a drug addict and you say, wait a minute, let me go on here and see what they said about drug addict. It's not working. You know, you have to be real. So just stuck in it.
No, thank you. Pass it back.
So I feel like we have this general understanding about the need to release this second bullet about the emotional balance and self-restraint. But can we go back to the first one?
Mm-hmm.
Because the end of that quote where it says, but toward righteousness, can we speak on that so we can understand how we don't conflate that with revenge?
That's heavy. So that we won't conflate that with revenge.
The wrong R.
Somebody want to help me out here? No, I mean I can go, but I like to have it flow. Mm-hmm. Mhm.
When the intention is based on love, I don't think that we will look for revenge. But I think if we're doing anything outside of love and a spirit of gratitude, it has the opportunity to turn into revenge.
Mm.
It was just bringing to my mind something that's always been a difficult thought for me. That is that they say that you can't truly forgive somebody unless you forget. And I don't know, I've never really accepted that wholeheartedly because I think I still need to learn from what happened. I don't want to totally forget it. I want to learn from it.
Well, I'm going to speak to yours first, Mama and Donna, but I'm really triggered by, sparked by what you had asked, Seeker, because I think it's a good question. But I think that whole idea that you can't truly forgive unless you forget is often prescribed specifically to our people. That's never a universal offering. So completely reject that. Um, hard pass. But what you pointed out, Sika, about how do we deal with but towards righteousness and that not get conflicted with revenge. The reason that sparked me to want to respond is I think we could exchange the word righteousness with principled. And there's really where we can align ourselves. Values, principles. Now we have something that we can say guides all parties towards just. It guides us towards justice. And I hear you, sister, when you say love. And but all the way around, universal love. The only reason I didn't incline towards that is because love is not just warm and fuzzy. Love is also corrective. Love is also justice. You know, love, especially when talking about this topic, parents' love, and particularly a mother's love, not more important, more valuable in a vain way, but in the way that we all at one time were literally inside and sharing systems with. So once we talk about mother's love, if you will, and I hope that the brothers here can hear this beyond the idea of omission of you. That is not what I'm speaking of. So I want to say that very clearly. But when I don't offer it as just love as a blank check, because someone's idea of love as an emotion will misread love that is also corrective. So when I speak principle, principle should guide all of us to justice. What is just? Because I can self-correct if I align with principle.
Sure.
You understand? I can get right in lockstep with you if I gauge both of us on principle. So that is something that's demonstrative when we think, lean not towards remembering it, but towards righteousness. And now, and I'm with you on this, Mama Donna. I'm not big on forgive and forget part.
Right.
And I'm not even a big subscriber of forgiveness, but I'm courteous about those who are. Because for me, I'm that full judge zone, meaning if I make space for us to have that, I'm challenging myself to not come up short. It's not just not you, an outside of myself person, don't come up short, but that means I too have to put my own spirit on that scale, right? And so don't hear me to say don't forgive, but hear me to say when we can get in lockstep with principle, then I have a gauge for myself. Am I in lockstep with what I value? Who should I give this to, please?
You can hold on it real quick.
Go ahead, Brad.
You said you wanted to, or you self-correct by following principle.
I'm saying So in this wording, we were looking at, but lean toward righteousness, right? Sometimes righteousness, in my opinion, is misperceived from a religious standpoint of a moral correctness, which would then require me to see someone else as immoral. Often the word righteousness is used to justify the dehumanization of another. We've seen that happen, not just throughout history, but even today. You know, right now, the people that's on the short list of immigration are being viewed as something less than humane. And so, you know, we watch as people are treated in a way because they are seen as less than. So you follow me with that? So when I say it allows me the ability to self-correct, it doesn't mean you don't need to check me. It means that I don't need to see it as your correction, because what you're calling me to is to align myself with principle. And if we can agree on principle, meaning we have an aligned value system, now I'm not submitting so much to your word as much as I'm getting in lockstep with our shared principles. So now I can self-correct. I can see, you know, if you call me on it, hold on, Chief, but this is what we own, then I don't have to say I'm getting in lockstep with you, because you might change your mood, but I can get in lockstep with our aligned value and the principles with which we have agreed to share community. Does that make sense?
That's
Right
it.
on.
That's it. Right on.
So thank y'all. So, now, the way that I think get where
Aligned to the same principles, because there's so many different belief systems, and as she said, the belief system is not necessarily in harmony with the principle.
So I'm I got you.
Thank
you. So what I do is so the way I look at this is that answering Dr. Sika's question from my standpoint, my framework is that when I look at righteousness, I think about, you know, this is coming out of Hosea, right? With righteousness is one of the principles of Mayat, right? So within line with what Chief Lativa said and others, that is about bringing order, right? It's not, bringing order isn't always a passive thing, right? So it's about doing what is righteous, right? Not what is doing, not just revenge. So what do we have to do? So first and foremost, we have to do what is right for ourselves, right? We have to do what is right for ourselves. But I think I wanted to connect that with something somebody said earlier about the way that we look at these things and how we make ourselves victims. We don't want to stay in that place of being a victim, right? So to bring order, we have to do what is righteous, even first and foremost for ourselves. And sometimes that is really reframing our narrative. And I'm speaking about parents today, right? And I understand, like, literally, like, there is a lot of people talking about to forgive our oppressors, or quote on, right? There's a lot of people. Okay, there's a lot of people saying forgive our oppressors. This ain't that conversation, okay? But the conversation I do want to have, and I say not to get caught on words, I use the word understand too. You know, whatever it is that works for you, right? So the thing is, it is about forgiving our parents, or understanding our parents, or understanding our history, even if it's our collective history. Because the reality is, and I got it on the slide, but I'll just go with it, is that I argue that a lot of us do work in our communities. And in some way, we have forgiven so many people who haven't done anything directly to us, but we have forgiven them for what they've done to our communities. We have forgiven them what they've done, and all the way to taking the lives of someone's son or daughter. I'm talking about in our community, where we advocate, we go into prisons, we work in reform schools. We do a lot of work, and I think it's good work, and it's needed work, because in some way we tap into the experience of that person, whether or not that be the systems of oppression that created conditions to create his or her fears that had them react, ended up in jail or what have you. But there's something that we dug into our hearts to help that person to help that person move forward in life. But many times we struggle with our own pains that people have caused us. And I'm not even saying direct pain. I'm not saying someone has taken your life. Lots of us struggle with the fact that in the idea that my mother did not say that she loved me. I'm saying literally, or because there was a certain disconnect. There was something that kept mom out of the house. There was something that kept dad out of the house. And whatever the word is, forgiveness, understanding, whatever it is releasing, there is a stuck that is stuck in you that keeps you from being your best self. It's stuck in you, whatever that is, whatever the word is, whatever it is, trauma, stress, whatever it is, hurt, pain, it keeps you from moving forward. It keeps you stuck. You even understand from an African-centered perspective how the society has caused so much trauma in our community. And we understand how this society has set up people in our community. So we have an understanding of how we've been set up. But we hardly do that when this person lives in our home. We hardly can do that when that person was my mother who worked 3 jobs to put a roof over my head. And she perhaps was dealing with her own stress, struggling with maybe relationships and all types of things. I mean, it's a lot going on out here. There's a lot going on out here that keeps, that leads to us making poor decisions. We can forgive others. We can work with others who do the same. But I'm still stuck with this pain that I never released from my mother because I can't understand it. And it's understandable that you can't understand it.
Yeah, man, a lot of this has really resonated with me. I know many of you guys know that I work with men upstairs, and I do a lot of reparenting. And a lot of reparenting is dealing with what I call like shadow work. It's those things that well, let me just say this. Many times when I work with adult men, I regress a lot of their pain back before the age of 7 and dealing with that abandonment issues of parents that they have not really been able to forgive. Even me, myself, I suffered a lot of trauma. I was abandoned by my mother at 6 months, right? So she never really raised me, but I realized that I was carrying that abandonment wound. And it was in prison that I had to sit with myself and say, I am carrying a wound and a scar because of the decisions of a 15-year-old that didn't have the capacity, that was put in an adult situation and didn't have the tools to deal with it. So me as a big man, how can I be mad at a 15-year-old? And when I sat in that pain, in that abandonment, that I learned how to forgive myself for holding that against a 15-year-old. Because when you're little, when you look at her, I was like, she was grown. But then I had to regress it in myself and saying she wasn't grown. And I had to release that pain. And I take brothers through that same process. What are you holding on to? And is that your baggage to carry? I released my baggage, and that equipped me then at that point to begin to help other people sit down theirs.
I see. So just quickly here, why forgiveness is essential? Again, whatever the word is you want to use, it's fine with me. Anger hinders productivity and emotional well-being. Denying anger out of fear of losing control prolongs its impact. Forgiveness restores or whatever word you want to use, inner peace and empowerment and personal growth. This is what you speak to. And y'all familiar with this clip here? Y'all like, play it.
When you just take off.
Oh, let me turn it up a little bit. What's that? It's a little low, right? Where's it coming from? Here?
When you just take off like that.
My daddy ain't had no walking blues, but you know, he stayed right there with his family, but he was just as evil as he could be. My mama couldn't stand him, couldn't stand that evilness. She run off when I was about 8. She sneaked off one night, told me she was coming back for me. I ain't never seen her no more. All his women run off and left him. He wasn't good for nobody. My turn come to head out. I was 14, got to sniffing around Joe Canewell's daughter. Had this old mule called Gray Boy. My daddy sent me out to do some plowing. I got to fooling around with Joe Canewell's daughter. Found us a nice spot. Got real cozy with each other. She about 13, so we didn't figure we grown anyway. So we down there by the creek enjoying ourselves. Ain't thinking about nothing. Didn't know Gray Boy had gotten loose, wandered back to the house, and my daddy was looking for me. So we down there enjoying ourselves when he come up on us. Surprised us. Had them leather straps off that mule, commenced to whooping me like there was no tomorrow. I jump up, I'm mad, embarrassed. I was scared of my daddy. Now, when he commenced to whipping on me, quite naturally, I run to get out the way. Now, I think he mad because I ain't done my work. But I see where he chasing me off so he can have the gal for himself. When I see what the matter of it was, I lost all fear of my daddy, and right there I became a man, 14 years of age. Now it's my turn to run him off. I picked up them same reins he used on me. I picked up them reins. I commenced whooping on him. Gal jump up, she run off. When he turned to face me, I knew why the devil never come and get him, because he was the devil himself. I don't know what happened. I woke up laying there by the creek and Blue, this old dog we had. He was licking my face. Both my eyes was full shut. I thought I was blind. I couldn't see nothing. I just laid there and cried. Didn't know what I was going to do. But I knew time had come for me to leave my daddy's house. Suddenly the world got big. It was a long time before I could cut it down the way I could handle it. Part of that cutting down was where I got to the place where I could feel him kicking in my blood. And I knew the only thing that separated us was a matter of a few years.
What you got there, Uncle Gay?
Got me a ham sandwich. Rose gave me a ham sandwich.
Lost touch with everybody except Gabriel. But I hope he's dead. Hope he found some peace.
It's a heavy story, Pop. I didn't know you left home when you was 14. 14 is kind of young to be on your own. I don't know what I would have done.
So lots of times we don't know the narrative. And many people, when you really dig deeper, they don't even know the narrative of their parent. They don't know what they've been through. And they haven't even considered it. As Brother Curtis so eloquently articulated. He said he had to find himself in prison. I think you said that, right? Where you could find a place where you could even reflect on some things. And you said that you were really reflecting on what it had to be a 15-year-old and all the experiences she's been through, so that you can forgive her, so that you can release certain levels of I don't know what the words are. You can say it.
I say pain.
Pain. And if you don't mind, you go as far as you want. How has it been for you in that releasing process? So I imagine it's been a process.
So when we're talking about, so I said the somatic things, I didn't realize that it wasn't so much. How many people heard the term house devil, street angel? House devil, street angel, right? And this is what I hear when I hear this story. So the process is, it's not so much what I was doing to myself, it was what I was doing to the women around me, right? Those people that was closest to me. So not only did I have to heal my broken heart, I had to go and heal and restore those people that I had wounded. So not only was I dealing with it, so they, you know, when I was in the church, they say, is there no balm in Gilead? I had to realize that I had to find the way to not just heal myself, but go and restore peace, because the container that I was in was imbalanced. So it's not just restoring peace in myself. That road to recovery means I had to go back and heal that which I had wounded outside of myself. Because even when you begin to heal internally, you don't think about the scars and the people that you wounded along the way. And reciprocity is not just ma'at in a good way. Sometimes you got to heal it because, like Latava said, you know, the chief said that sometimes it's corrective. And I believe in reciprocity, both good and bad. So I had to first heal myself and then go and restore the container that I had put in balance by my actions. So the growth process is first healing myself and then restoring order to those other people in my village.
I say thank you for that.
Oh. No, we need a mic.
One of the things, brother, I think you asked something about when you gave the example of being harder on people we're in the house with than those that we can find our way to working with in community. The example you gave was in prisons and group homes and things of that nature. I think one thing it's good to identify is there is a higher expectation in the house. There's a reasonable higher expectation. I understand 15. I get it. Because everybody, we all have our own path, right? However we came to be someone's mother or father or what have you. So there is a greater expectation in that place of intimacy that is reasonable, that we don't have with anyone outside those four walls, that does allow us to serve in capacity. And we can see it more readily because it's outside. It's an outward look. In the house is an intimate internal look, right? Mm-hmm. But then the other thing is what you're speaking of, brother, is restorative justice. When you talk about going back, which goes back to what we talked about when it came to our principles, right? It's restorative justice, not just in how we move forward, but Sankofa, first how we turn around and go back and own our you know what, right? But this is not my house, so I'm not going to say it the way I would at home. But you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
Right? So, but that's really what we're talking about. And when you find yourself conflicted internally, as the example that Troy had this internal conflict that even his son sitting next to him didn't know. A lot of times the healing is found in Sankofa. It's the problem with our people altogether. We don't know our history. And it's easy to say we don't know our history as a generic term, right? The history of our people. That's a generic term. You don't know your history. Like you don't know your mama's 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 mama. You get what I'm saying? And the idea that when I talk about expectation, when I say the higher expectation in the house, the expectation needs to come into alignment with principle. Because the total job, I'm from a lot of children. I'm one of many. The total job is to get you to the point where you got it.
And while there is that abandonment, right? Better than you, even as a child, she knew she couldn't do that job. She did better by you, leaving you alone. And honestly, as adults, when we think about it, haven't you ever seen a toxic couple? They say they would be better off, man, leave that woman alone. You know, leave her alone. Would be a better service to her, right? Than trying to handle this household thing when you said house angel, street devil, right? So that's what I see. Our expectations are reasonably greater in the house, but also the understanding, especially when it comes to parents, the total real job is just get you big enough to be able to handle this yourself, right? So there's plenty of things we could each say our parents did wrong or didn't do ideally. Our theory, because trust me, being a parent is just a theory. It's just a theory. On your best day, it's a theory. But the job is what? Keep you alive till you big enough to handle this yourself. So we all survivors of childhood. Yeah, we've all survived childhood. Because childhood, all the exploration is, all we out here doing is putting our life on the line every day. And anybody who's been in the house with toddlers knows that's true. So you get what I'm saying? The expectation.
Thank you. So there's a few things. I'm not negating the idea that there's high expectations in the household. I think that's very understandable. It's not that. It's that
Also the higher disappointment when it's right there in your face, right there.
So my point is to help you juxtapose it next to the forgiveness that you are giving to others because you're stuck. And to get you from that place of being stuck, maybe you can shed light on someone else's, how you're forgiving people in another way. But the high expectation is there. But when people show up in your counseling room at 50 and 60 years of age and they're stuck, you have to find a way to get them from being unstuck, to get them unstuck. Yeah.
So essentially what you're trying to articulate is that what you found, and for our people, I mean, there might be other people, but we only care about Black people, that what you found is that folks are easy to forgive others and don't do the work to actually do the forgiveness within the home or within their family dynamic. Is that what you're trying to drive?
Yeah. Yes, and in community sometimes. Yeah. Thank you. But it is, but it isn't. As far as healing wise, they are, but it's kind of well. Just let me flow with this. So the thing is that it keeps us. The goal is, as the doctor said, is exactly what I'm attempting to articulate. And I'm trying to tap into what I'm really saying here. Is nothing. The other thing is this. When you understand what society has set up, I think that if we can truly, I don't think that I think honestly, it's a waste of time. If we study this stuff, I'm coming. It's a waste of time if we study this stuff and how the society has ailed our people and know how they set booby traps and can forgive the world for doing it, but stop at your step. Because it's okay healthily, but I am sharing that we are stuck there. people look like they're not stuck. They walk around every day looking like they're just living the life. But there's a pain inside of them that won't go away until the narrative can be reframed. I think somebody spoke about narrative earlier. The story, I think Mama Faluke spoke about it. You have to see the narrative from a different perspective, or you're going to continuously be stuck in that victimized position. And I'm not saying you haven't been through anything. We've all been through something. And I'm saying I'm not even saying major things, I'm saying. Because to one person's trauma is not everybody's trauma. One person's trauma is not everybody's trauma. You even see this in households when, as you said, plenty of children lived in the same house. But you'll see that your brother or your sister who lived in the same situation that you thought were major and brilliant and bright, they saw it as oppressive. See, trauma doesn't have to do exactly with the actual act or the event. It has to do with the interpretation. I'm not saying there's not heinous acts going on in households, but I'm speaking to even those levels. My mother never let me practice Christmas. I'm just saying there's major things. This is not small stuff. My father never let me, whatever. It's just like things, because it starts at this age, and the way you frame it creates your situation and your position in it. I mean, I'm not talking about molestation. I am not negating that either. But I'm saying all types of experiences. You better believe that us as parents, our children walk around we're competing with the Eurocentric culture teaches us. And lots of times they believe that you are because you would not allow them to participate in it. Both. Cultish, whatever. All of it. But your intent was to protect them against that very culture. And you had right and good reason to do so. Now I'm saying this is on a spectrum. This is on a spectrum. This is on a scale. I mean, this is not simple work. But what I'm saying is that the goal is to become unstuck.
Yeah, you have went past the point, but one of the things, I don't know if anybody have seen that interview with James Baldwin and Nikki Giovanni. You seen it? It's powerful because Nikki Giovanni is trying to convince James Baldwin as far as talking about male-female relationship, not really parenting children. And she talks about, why don't you wear the mask and play the game with me? Right? She says that you go out and you play it, lie to me. Why can't you, when you're not feeling your best, why can't you come in and just like when you go into the job and, for white man, you tap dance, you smile. Mm-hmm. But why can't you show me the same grace when I'm doing everything for you in the household, trying to shift this paradigm to let him understand that you would go out as a man and play the game with everybody else. But I get your visceral, I get your anger. Even when you're not feeling that great, can I get some type of grace?
It's because they familiar with them. I mean,
I think so.
Right. I think that's what it is. It's being familiar. And when you was talking about the household, I forgot my sword. When you was talking about the household, that we'll help somebody outside instead of helping inside, it's because the outside don't know our vulnerability and our hidden stuff. And when we go in the house, they know our hidden stuff. And we don't know how to communicate with them because they're hurt. you know what I'm trying to say.
No, and I think I get you, and it's understandable to everyone's point. It's very understandable why the work would be hard in the house. It is very understandable, and you should have greater expectations, and thus you have greater disappointment. However, how do we get unstuck? Because trauma is a place of stuckness. Trauma is a place of that stuckness impacts all of our relationships because you are stuck. When you are stuck like that, we are not engaging with each other in our best, being our best selves. In fact, we often in our community say, why don't we trust? Because we couldn't trust those who were the closest to us, those who were supposed to protect us. So how can you trust someone else if this is the narrative that's rewinding in your mind over and over again? We ask the question, why don't we trust? Because it is in a visceral level. It is in a deep level where you're not even consciously thinking, you're reacting. You're not responding, you're reacting. So we have to do that work in our community in order to see the community that we want, to have the organizations we want, to have the relationships we want. Many people struggle every day in their quote unquote romantic relationships for this very same stuckness.
I'm having this situation. I'm learning how to get unstuck, release my pain and stuff. And my sister, she's still stuck, and I want to share to her that she can come unstuck. But if I say something to her, then she'll be on a defense. But I don't know how to. It hurts me because I'm saying, okay, I'm freeing myself. I want to bring her along with me. But if I tell her, she speaks negative all the time. Who you think you is? Because you just, and I'm saying, oh my gosh, it's not like that. So I don't know. By me becoming consciously aware, not in an egotistical way or being selfish or being like I'm a bag of chips or however you want to say it. It saddens me when I can see now. My eyes are open like, oh, we've been bamboozled. How can I help people to see? But if you come to them, they want to argue and fight.
So you have to. I don't like have to.
I know,
but
I don't know how.
So you're a coach.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And even when you're dealing with your family, right?
Right.
You understand there's some triggers there, right?
Exactly.
You understand there's some touchy spots there, right?
Yep.
You understand, and I'm certain you understand there's a trauma-informed approach, right?
Right.
So when we're dealing with our family members, we have to understand that there's certain things that will trigger them. So we have to be very intentional about how we approach them.
And it's interesting when you can tell somebody else, but you can encourage somebody outside, but when you go inside, it's a challenge.
Well, so we have to be intentional.
Okay.
And we have to know it's a process. And we know that many times, again, we want to help. And we want to help so much that if we're not careful, we will hurt them. So we have to be intentional, understand what people can handle. Because if we don't understand what people can handle, we will be doing the very thing that we're not trying to do.
Back when I was first getting aware, whatever, we learned that there was a thing called neophyting. You became a neophyte nationalist.
Oh, neophyte. Okay.
Yeah. As soon as you learned a little bit, you wanted to run out and tell everything. But all you knew was a little bit. But you thought you knew everything. So that was that stage of neophyting that we go through.
Absolutely. And if you got your special mic again?
I think a lot of things that we all deal with is like we're kind of trained to have be in this power construct. So example is like if a mother will tell a child that I don't care what it is, I'm your mother. And then that child just has to accept that. And that mother probably heard that from her mother or her father. And you see that in it kind of what we were talking about is like inside the home, you're kind of still under this hierarchy of like your parents are here and the children are here and you know your brother here, your sister here. And when you go out into the workforce, you know you got something. I'm not this type, like I don't care about like supervisor type stuff, but you got people that like whatever the supervisor said, they'll never contend with the supervisor. But their coworker, they'll go all the way in on them. Or their subordinate, they got a sword, they'll go all the way in on them. And I just think that we got to untrain ourselves in our own households to say, hey, even though I'm the parent, I have to understand like what kind of traumas that I've imposed on my kid. Whatever it is, whether you're at work all the time and was never there, and the kid had to come home and be by themselves, or when they get in trouble at school and they say, "Oh, you didn't do this work," and the parent come in and act like they were there, say, "Well, I don't understand why they didn't do it," when they know they weren't there to even help with the work. You know what I mean? But the child has to take that brunt and say, because she's not going to. Well, my mother wasn't there to help me. She's going to just accept it and say, I don't want to get my mom in trouble, or that's my mom, you know. So I think on a personal level, like in our household, as far as like forgiveness and getting to that path of healing, we have to like untrain ourselves, sit down and think and say, like you said, this person, even though that's my child, even though this is a person who may look up, I have this power structure over top of them that I have to give them the space to say, to be able to forgive, you know, because other than that, they're just going to hold that hierarchy over top, and it's going to say, well, it doesn't matter what I say, what doesn't matter. They're just going to, they're my mother, or they're my boss, or they're this, whatever, like that. So that's what I was just trying. I don't know if I confused, but that's what that was on my soul.
Thank you, good brother.
Can I this sister who shared about trying to share with her sister? I think there's a reason, similarly to why a surgeon doesn't do surgery on their child.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have to remember there's that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason we don't, like you gave the example of children being in the same house and yet coming away with different experiences. And when she's talking about her sibling, you can't fix your sibling. That's too close, for the very reason we can't do surgery. Like, that's not your job. She's on her path. You're on your path. You might be able to, what this brother and I were talking about, we may be able to come in alignment with the same principle, and that will allow her to find her place of healing, or those siblings to find their place of healing, if what you're offering is outside of self. And then the difference, my second part of that, the difference in the example you gave, the film clip that you shared with us, the example in that is the difference between us witnessing Troy or being Troy.
Come on.
Two different things. And how that begins, which was your question, how do we even do that? Troy started his healing journey by sharing that. You see how old his son was in that clip? His son had never heard that before. His son never knew his father left home at 14. He never knew. And it's one thing to say, as the child, I never asked, or I never knew, or I didn't know that about my mom, didn't know that about my dad. His son didn't know that about him. But you know what else? Troy never stated it. It was still too sore for him, still too sensitive of an injury for him to be able to say it. And I don't know if you've ever had this experience where something gets hung up in your throat. You want to say it like it's a physical, that chakra is like a knot. You can't let it out. Like, it isn't going to change the reality. I just can't say the words until this feeling about this thing subsides. I may not be able to share with you. So there's definitely no hope of you offering me something that might be good for me. I can't take it yet. And until I'm at that place where I can take it, you can't give it to me.
Mm-hmm.
Troy never shared that. You get what I'm saying? That's the example you gave.
Mm-hmm.
And so in using his atrocious example. Remember, he's telling you all the things he realized. At 14, he realized these things and tried to act on that. Looking back, see, his son said, you was really young to leave home. Looking back, he knows that was young, but what? At the time, that was the oldest he had ever been.
Yeah.
So you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
all these things have come full circle to what you offered and how this came to be with the examples you get.
Yeah.
I have a question. I'd like for you all to help me out with this.
But before you go, I want to just add on to a little bit of that. I agree with what Chief Lativa said. I'll reframe it just a little. I think we can help, but there's to certain levels and degrees and extents we can. Like you might not get like you might help by saying, you know what, here's someone. yeah. Absolutely. And you might also can help with talking to them and things of that nature, but understand that not everybody can be helped that way, or nor are you prepared to do that. So I think it's like I think that's really good advice what you said, because also what I realize that when people do that is they feel judged, they feel like you're diagnosing them, they feel like you see them as less than, and I see that in relationships and all of that type of thing. It's not to say you can't help, but at some point, even if it's helping or seem like it's helping, it will backfire. So I agree with that. Yeah, so just know how to help.
I'm interested in knowing, was the murder that Dylan Roof committed and the responses less than 24 hours of all these loved ones being slaughtered, was that a collective principle that was agreed? Were we that highly evolved, or was it the indoctrination of religious principles being played out?
Say that again.
I want to know the response that the family gave of those who were murdered by Dylan Roof in South Carolina. Were we so highly evolved in community with principles, the same principles, or was that response a religious indoctrination? Because remember, they were at the
some of the
church.
members of the church, right?
Yes. I'm talking about the family members.
Oh, the family members.
And how they. Yes. Yes.
Okay. So
I don't want to say that maybe they were evolved in some level I don't know about. I don't want to say that I know everything, but I know what Christianity has done to us. And I know the responses that we have when atrocities are committed against us, how we've been conditioned to respond. I just want to hear from the religious, the professionals.
Oh, so
no, professionals, the professionals that are here.
So
the professionals.
Brother Curtis is a religious professional. Go ahead. No,
yeah, I don't want to hear from you.
All right, so we do understand that under Christianity we have been taught to be overly empathetic, even in the face of trashy and direct assault. I think that is the principal tool that Christianity has indoctrinated us with, that we are overly forgiving, and sometimes we should probably do nothing instead of really having an outward display of forgiveness when people commit the most heinous atrocities on us. So I don't know if that's a real question, but I think that you basically hit the nail on the head, that the Stockholm Syndrome is very real. Our oppression is real. And I think that really played into their response. And I was really appalled. But I do understand that to carry that level of hurt on yourself, right, can sometimes be very counterproductive. I don't think that we should always display what we may feel in our heart, because I think it sends the wrong message and it encodes and encrypts something in the prodigy and the people looking on. I believe that those family members should have forgiven them in their heart. But I think as an outward display of forgiveness, I think it's inappropriate because it sends the wrong message to our people.
I think, brother. So I think that it's super important for us to recognize, and this is my perspective, that forgiveness is an inside job. It is a personal activity. And so an important thing to consider is, what is the function? Okay, so when we're thinking about what was happening in this very public experience, I wouldn't use the term, are we so evolved, because I don't know the folks, the family. Yes, we Black, but I don't know them. I'm not in community with them. We don't share principles or understanding. And so when we're thinking about it within the context of what happened, and we know the history of our people having to, choosing to do the work of humanizing ourselves for the sake of being acknowledged, I think that activity of the public display of condoning or excusing served a purpose that absolutely is in alignment with many of the functions of many religions. I think that it is important, in alignment with the conversation that is being held today, is to differentiate that quote unquote public display of forgiveness, if we're using the definition on the screen, which is to abandon resentment and extend compassion and moral love. I'm personally not interested in extending. I disagree with you, brother. I'm not forgiving, not nary any white, anything for anything, except for the fact that I just need to be able to be in my warrior mindset and abandon resentment and extend compassion and moral love to my people, not for, whatever they're doing over there. So I think that the conversations are different. I think there's the public conversation around how our people have been socialized, and then it's an invitation for us to consider what is the work of abandoning resentment and extending compassion, humanizing the experience of our parents, so that we can do the work of living in our highest regard.
Ashe, thank you for doing the slide, Doc. So I want to add something to that, though, before you take it further, because we're gonna close out soon too. So because we're gonna have a part 2, because I got quite a bit more, but that's how we work. There's also something called spiritual bypass, right? There's a lot of research around that. And spiritual bypassing is something that we do a lot in our community. I mean, a lot. I mean, to cope, even. But again, some coping is adaptive and some is maladaptive. I think in different situations determine whether or not it is adaptive or not. And again, I agree with Dr. Mary Brown. What's Brown? Dr. Shauna. Sister Shauna, that's good. Okay, cool. So what was I saying though? Consistent with
you're explaining spiritual bypassing?
No. So spiritual bypassing, we do it as a way of coping, right? And consistent with our dear sister, she said that it's an individual process, right? So lots of times what we like to do is answer like these large questions in very sweeping ways. And it's just not, we don't know. But we can generalize. One generalization is that we do spiritually bypass. And that helps us
You got to
cope.
define it, brother. You got to define it.
So to spiritually bypass is to use religious coping in a way to not have to deal with the pain of whatever the reality is in that moment. And so, for example, lots of us, we know we're not even, it's not really a good time, but we say, how you doing? They say, I'm blessed and highly favored. Or there's certain levels of pain, but we saying, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong or none of that. Some of it is adaptive, some of it is maladaptive. But some of us deal with the pain of someone we just lost, and we don't want to grieve. And we say things like, everything happens for a reason. And I'm not saying that some people that is not adaptive for. But I'm saying there's so many other people that is not an adaptive way of coping. And they're just masking or trying to not deal with that pain. And hence it follows them throughout their life. They could have just lost their mother. Something could have happened very tragically, and it follows them throughout their life.
One of my sisters, who considers herself, very strongly Christianized, she can get mad at me, or even like if I imply that I'm thinking that I wish something bad would happen to somebody. Get mad at me for having that feeling that I wouldn't mind seeing something bad happen to somebody. And, she feels like I'm supposed to be guilty in my heart, and I guess, like scared I'm gonna go to hell just because I said, like, oh, yeah, anyway, whatever I said. But
Okay. So you're saying that to think something negative. Oh, to just even think about it. We all going to hell. so we all going to hell. So I'm gonna close it out here. Okay, brother.
One question. So when we were talking about forgiveness, and this goes to you, are we talking about forgiveness in the sense of forgiving our family members and our parents, or are we doing a generalization, or is this forgiveness to how our oppressors, like how they treated us and our ancestors? Or is it just
so at the beginning? At the beginning, I shared that we're not talking about our oppressors or whatever term you want to use, right? Because I know some people don't like that term, and some days I don't like it either. But the reality is, I want to differentiate, because lots of times it's hard for us. What I realize is hard for us to do the work within our family and our own communities, because we often use that as we parallel it or juxtapose it next to that, and hence we say, well, I'm not forgiving the white. Like we always go, like typically in these spaces, we go when we have these conversations, we kind of somewhat conflate it with the dominant culture in the society we find ourselves in. So absolutely not.
I think one of the big problems we have, and primarily because of the society we're raised in, is our self-concept. And a lot of things starts from that, and unfortunately we were never given any. We just kind of assume some along the way, Our parents never taught us any. We just gradually absorb what's there, and some of it is very individualized, like me, So I think one of the biggest problems is our self-concept, even in the whole healing process. Whether you see yourself as this small physical individual being, or you see yourself, superb, grand, and at the core, supreme love and oneness, unity. So it all, and you, of course, you have to be able to experience that concept to make it, to live it, to kind of know that this is a concept you want to live by. So I think that's one of the biggest things to address in the healing process is our self-concept.
Self-concept. Thank you. So in closing, family, I'm going to read these 3 proverbs An African proverb said, "The child who is not embraced by the village will burn it down to feel its warmth." And why I think that particular proverb is important is I think that many times when we find people who hurt people, especially in our families, they are still living with that child that is hurt, hence causing all types of havoc. I think the name is Troy. Is his name Troy? Denzel's name is Troy. Denzel is that child. You know, his son later becomes a variation of that as well in his own way. Egyptian proverb says, "He who knows not how to forgive breaks the bridge over which he himself must pass." The Yoruba proverb says, "When there is no enemy within, the enemies outside cannot hurt you." So in other words, it goes back to that self-work that we talk about. I thank you for your time. I thank you for joining in. I thank you for all of your input. And we will continue part 2 next week. Ashe.
Ashe, Ashe. Come on, dear family, give our brother a hand. It's always good to hear from our chief, but it's also good to hear from the community. It's a collective healing process, and we're in the midst of this collective healing. So I know y'all see I'm dressed like Uncle Sam. I grew up in the nation, but it's not. And I'm still having the residue. Sometimes every once in a while I think I'm FY, but I can't wear a regular bow tie. So I had to wear a wooden bow tie. Just grew up in the nation. It's actually a wooden bow tie. Yeah. I try to be our street. So if we could, I'm sorry. My point as far as that stuff, I don't understand. Brother by the name of Minister Demir. And he used to do something called the green wave, right? And he would say, "Can y'all all stand?" Y'all know this ritual, right? Can y'all all stand? Y'all gonna learn today. On your feet, if y'all could all rise as we close up, right? We understand, just like in the church, every temple, mosque, synagogue has to be supported with finances. I wish we can keep the lights on just with y'all beautiful smiles and y'all kente cloth, right? But unfortunately, we got to take a collection because we want to keep the lights on and we want to keep being in this beautiful space. Don't run away, dear brother. No, don't run away. You know, in the conscious community, right? We just going to pass the hat, right? Oh, I'm sorry. That's what we're going to do. We're going to pass the hat. Why are we going to do that? Because it's important that, because quite naturally, we can't live on bread alone, or we can't live on words alone, right? And I know some of y'all fancy. We got Zelle, PayPal, Cash App. We building a black institution. And the only way we can do that, they say if everybody does a little bit, no one has to do a lot. Oh, I don't mean to forget. Did I forget you? I don't want to stop your blessing. We say, thank you, Jesus. Y'all silly. Amen. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Chief. I said, oh man, Jesus had creeped up in here. So we actually going to end with our 7 Harambe's. If everybody, don't leave there, brother. You're going to miss the blessing. Don't leave there. We do this ritual as a form of solidarity. We're going to do our 7 Harambe's. We're going to put our hands in our black fists in the air, and we're going to pull down oppression. We're going to pull down anything that's holding up. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Harambe. 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 Come on, sisters, brothers, greet each other. And until next time, peace. Oh, I was trying to keep you. We're going to eat and break bread. We got a Karamu. It is Karamu Sunday.
But if God got us, then we gon' be alright. We gon' be alright. We gon' be alright. We gon' be alright. Do you hear me? Do you feel me? We gon' be alright. We gon' be alright. Huh? We gon' be alright. We gon' be alright. Do you hear me? Do you feel me? We gon' be alright. And when I wake up, I recognize you looking at me for the pay cut. Bahamas, I be looking at you from the face down. One Mac 11, even boom with the bass down. Skimming, and let me tell you about my life. Painkillers only put me in the twilight. But pretty Benjamin is the highlight. I tell my mama I love her, but this what I like. Lord knows, 20 of them in my Chevy. Tell them all to come and get me, reaping everything I sow. So my karma come in heaven, no preliminary hearings on my record. I'm a gangster in silence for the record. Tell the world I know it's too late. Boys and girls, I think I've gone great. Trying to decide my vices all day. Won't you please believe when I say, when you know we've been hurt, been down before. When our pride was low, looking at the world like, where do we go? And we hate poor, when they kill us dead in the street for sure. I'm at the preacher's door, my knees getting weak and my gun might blow, but we gon' be alright. We gon' be alright. We gon' be alright. We gon' be alright. Do you hear me? Do you feel me? We gon' be alright. We gon' be alright. Huh? We gon' be alright. We gon' be alright. Do you hear me? Do you feel me? We gon' be alright. What you want?